Chapter 1600, Befuddled Hellion Yu. For Tian Ya's face was slightly sunken. He sneered and said, "You want me to submit to a ruler who killed thousands of people for his own selfishness? Ha ha ha, ridiculous. I'll never be loyal to anyone in my life. Be it Qi Fang or you. In this life, I belong only to myself." The four old men were somewhat speechless. They admitted that Tianya was indeed strong and had excellent skills. Ever since he had appeared more than 20 years ago, many legends about him had circulated in Land of No Return. But why was Tianya willing to serve as a general for Tianling Kingdom and not for them? "Do you know why I follow Qi Fang?" His red robes flapped in the wind as he took one step forward. "Because he promised me he wouldn't initiate a war and would never abandon his people. As the ruler of a country, if you kill your people for your own selfish reasons, I'll kill such rulers if I meet them. You want me to follow you? Ha 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 ha. Ask yourselves, are you qualified for this? All my life, I've only cared about the people, not the king. If Qi Fang dares to start a war for his own benefit, I will not be hesitant to kill him too." This was Tianya. No one could change him. Feng Lianqing hurriedly nodded, "That's right. My master is reasonable. He's not biased." Tianya looked at Feng Lianqing coldly. "Why are you still standing here? I'll stop this for trash while you go back to Wushang City first. If we're late, I'm afraid that something bad will happen to Wushang City." Feng Lianqing's face changed dramatically, and only at this moment did he realize the seriousness of this matter. "All right," he gritted his teeth and turned back, rushing toward Wushang City. Somehow, when he turned around for a moment, what came to his mind was a cute and beautiful little face. He had deliberately been cold to Hellion Yu these past few years. He kept a certain distance from her, thinking that in this way, Hellion Yu would give up on him. But who knew that little girl would never tire and would always stick around him, no matter how cold he was to her. But now, his greatest concern was not General Manor or Feng Lianyi, but Hellion Yu. However, if Feng Ruqing were so powerful, she would definitely protect Hellion Yu. Me for extra chapters. Perhaps even Feng Lianqing did not know why he trusted Feng Ruqing so much. It was as if this trust was engraved in his bones. Therefore, he believed that no matter what, Feng Ruqing would not leave Hellion Yu behind. Looking at Feng Lianqing's departing figure, Tianya turned around indifferently, and his cold gaze fell upon these four people. Boom! Suddenly, powerful energy was released, shaking everything under the sky. Tianya. Chapter 1601, Befuddled Hellion Yu. A servant entered the banquet hall with a box in her hand and slowly walked toward Feng Lianyi. "Maiden Lianyi," she respectfully handed the box to Feng Lianyi. Feng Lianyi held the box with both hands and carefully opened the lid. The crowd was stunned, their eyes staring nervously at the box in Feng Lianyi's hands. Feng Ruqing touched her nose. "It's just a necklace, why do I feel as if what she's holding is a great 9-spirit herb?" Shao Qing, this time, Hellion Yu disagreed with Feng Ruqing. She looked serious. "This thing is not as valuable as a great 9-spirit herb, but it is Grandfather Tian Ya's treasure, and also a spirit-gathering stone." "Gathering stone?" Feng Ruqing was startled. "Yes, this jade stone is a spirit-gathering stone. It can help the person who carries it cultivate rapidly. Even the weakest person can cultivate and become powerful. The spirit-gathering stone is so precious." Feng Ruqing was stunned as she suddenly remembered the jade necklace given to her by the old man in the spiritual beast mountain, which was also made of a gathering of spirit stones. Since when could the spirit-gathering stone be easily found anywhere? "My necklace." Suddenly, a sharp shout broke Feng Ruqing's thoughts. She turned and saw that Feng Lianya's face had turned pale, and she looked shocked. Whoever stole my jade necklace, give it to me immediately. Her eyes were filled with anger, and her body was trembling. When Qi Fang saw that the box brought by Feng Lianya was empty, he was actually relieved. But after he saw such an annoyed expression on Feng Lianya's face, he frowned a little. It seems like she's not faking it. Could it be that this jade necklace? Has it been stolen? The jade necklace was Tian Ya's most beloved item, and the preciousness of the gathering stone was not something that could be purchased with money. Me for extra chapters. Otherwise, Tian Ya would not have regarded this jade necklace as his precious item. I've even seen this jade necklace with my own eyes before attending the dinner today, and am sure it's still there before dinner. Feng Lianya clenched her fists tightly. Her face was filled with anger. This jade necklace is not only an expensive item to me, it is an item gifted to me by General. I didn't dare to simply take it out for fear of breaking it, but I didn't expect that it would be stolen now. The old housekeeper was a little unhappy hearing Feng Lianya's words. He had not seen the jade necklace before and could not confirm whether it was real or not, but Maiden Lianya was claiming that someone dared to steal from General Manor. Wasn't it the same as saying that the housekeeper of General Manor was useless? Was it stolen by someone? Maiden Lianya, did you put it somewhere else? Should we look for it again? I'm sure no one would dare to steal from General Manor, the old housekeeper said slowly. Feng Lianya's heart sank. Other people's housekeepers would only favor their masters, but this one from General Manor was embarrassing her in front of the crowd. At a time like this, he should have immediately stepped forward to help her. This old housekeeper is useless. Feng Lianya replied coldly, Old housekeeper, I know very well where my things are kept, and am not saying that our General Manor is not well guarded. After all, there are always some people in this world who will take advantage of General Manor's trust to get what she wants. Where do you get the guts to treat her like this? The word servant that came out of the little fatty's mouth made Feng Lianya's face darkened. Just now, Lianing, who had been silent all this time, slowly opened her mouth. Sister, since Maiden Lianya wants to prove your innocence, let her do it. I believe that you did not steal the stone. Feng Lianya would not dare say this in front of so many people if she did not have any evidence. Moreover, even if Lianya did not steal it, she would still be embarrassed by it. Perhaps it was the thought of this that caused Lianying's mouth to twitch with an imperceptible smile. Body search. Lianya kicked the chair, put her hands on her hips, and said furiously, I'm the young lady of the Helian family. Why should a servant do a body search on me? Feng Lianya's face was cold, her voice was filled with anger. I am not a servant. Chapter 1603, Befuddled Lianya 7. Oh, if you're not a servant, then who are you? General's daughter. Ridiculous. If I say I didn't steal it, it means I didn't steal it. So who dares do a body search on me? I have to do this for General. Feng Lianya's eyes darkened, and she fiercely moved forward and pulled Lianyu's dress. A sudden strong wind blew fiercely from the side and at Feng Lianya. Feng Lianya held Lianyu's dress tightly and tore off her coat. Rip! An item fell from her waist, making a clinking sound. Feng Ruqing heard this sound before she could strike again. She could not help but turn her head to look, and suddenly saw a jade necklace. Feng Ruqing looked somewhat confused. She stared blankly at the jade necklace that was lying on the ground. This necklace seems a bit familiar. The entire banquet hall was silent. Lianya was dumbfounded as she looked at the jade necklace on the floor. A chill filled her heart and made her body stiffen a bit. Why? Why was Grandfather Tian Ya's jade necklace on me? No, it wasn't me. Helian Yu panicked and hurriedly turned to look at Feng Ruching. Her eyes reddened. Xiao Qing, it wasn't me. I didn't steal it. I don't know how it came to me. Well, I know you didn't steal it. Feng Ruching raised her hand to touch Helian Yu's head, but a man blocked it. Xiao Qing, Helian Yu's heart that was panicking just now suddenly eased. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for making me realize that I am not alone at this moment. Of course you will believe her. Feng Lianyi got up from the ground, wiped the blood from the corners of her mouth, and walked toward Feng Lianqing. It's because you were plotting with her to steal my jade necklace, which was given to me by General, and I will not let go of all of you, me for extra chapters. Bang! As soon as Feng Lianyi said these words, another force surged toward her, sending her flying away again, crashing into the tables. The soup on the tables fell all over her body, and she was in a mess. Nan Xian's cold and emotionless eyes fell on Feng Lianyi's body. You're too close to my Qinger. Qinger does not like it. Feng Lianyi was about to speak, but the man raised his hand again and numerous sword lights came in a surprise attack. This time even if Feng Lianyi moved fast, she still could not dodge it. These sword lights cut her arms, drawing blood and staining her whole sleeve. Xiao Qing, is it enough? Nan Xian, Feng Ruching shook her head. We must not be too violent, we must be gentle, especially with girls, gentle. Everyone was stunned. Chapter 1604, Befuddled Helian Yu 8. The spirit gathering stone is powerful but fragile, and the thing it fears most is flames. When Feng Ruching raised her hand, flames fiercely burned the spirit gathering stone. The flames only burned the stone, not hurting the Empress' hand. But this scene caused everyone present to be scared silly. What are you doing? Qi Feng was also a bit furious. That's a spirit gathering stone. This woman knows that the gathering stone could not be touched by fire, but she still uses fire to burn it. Qi Feng hurriedly wanted to go forward. However, he had just taken 2 steps when the Empress suddenly snapped. Get out of here. Qi Feng was stunned, and he subconsciously stopped moving. His eyes were filled with anxiety. Empress, do you know what that thing is? It's General Tianya's life. General Tianya was the only warrior king of Tianling Kingdom. If his most precious thing were destroyed in front of him, that old man would be sad and leave this place. Then, who would protect Tianling Kingdom from the 4 kingdoms then? Qi Feng was on the verge of tears. If he could, he would rather be the one who was burned on the Empress' hands. I trust Maiden Feng. You are not allowed to come over. The Empress was expressionless. Qi Feng looked serious, so was Yue, Qiner, and the Empress. And Feng Ruching was also serious as she said, we'll only say this one last time, call me Lady Nan. The crowd was speechless. This doesn't seem like the right time to say that, is it? This woman has destroyed General Tianya's jade necklace. When General returns, hell kill her. However, in the next moment, everyone's faces froze. The spirit-gathering stone gradually disappeared from the Empress' hands, turning into dust as if it had never existed, leaving only a necklace braided with red rope, lying in her palm, me for extra chapters. What about the spiritual qi? The spirit-gathering stone was so powerful because the stone was made of spiritual qi. It would release all its spiritual qi when it was burned. But until now, they had not felt anything. Even Qi Feng was stunned. This necklace is fake. Feng Lianyi's face darkened. No. This is absolutely impossible. I got this necklace from General. There's nothing wrong with this necklace. It was Yu who stole my jade necklace. Yu, who had just been scared silly, was now finally able to hold her small head high again. I'm a young lady of the Hellion family. Would I steal a fake spirit gathering stone? Feng Lieni, when Grandfather Tianya returns, I'll tell him all about it. Feng Ruching patted Yu's shoulder and smiled at Feng Lieni. Are you sure that the piece just now is the jade necklace you were talking about? Feng Lieni bit her lip. She only had this one chance today. She must not let these people go. Yes. I know how it looks like. But they just said that the piece of jade stone in Tianya's necklace is a spirit gathering stone, Feng Lieni sneered. The spirit gathering stone is rare to come across, whether it exists or not is still unclear. General told me before that he once had another jade necklace that is made of spirit gathering stone. He left it at his home before he came to Wushang City. The old housekeeper also knows that the necklace was made for his family, so why would he bring it here? The old housekeeper was silent. Indeed, the necklace was made by General for his family and not for him. General misses his family, so he made the same jade necklace but replaced the spirit gathering stone with an obsidian stone. Chapter 1605. Here come the troublemakers. The old housekeeper looked on blankly. Is it true? I have never heard about this from General. But no matter what, this was a family matter, so he must be careful with what he said. General would be home soon anyway, and he had to deal with him when he returned. That was why the old housekeeper simply kept his mouth shut and said no more. Feng Ruching smiled and stroked her chin. Not bad, you even know about the obsidian stone. It seems that what you said is true. Shao Qing. Hellion Yu looked at Feng Ruching blankly. Even the Empress and the others turned to her as they did not understand why she had agreed with Feng Lieni. Qi Fang's eyes sank as he put one hand behind his back and looked at Hellion Yu fiercely. But, Feng Ruching smiled. Your jade necklace. I've seen a jade necklace similar to yours. Feng Lieni was stunned. Feng Ruching, what do you mean? Have you seen the jade necklace General gave me? Shao Qing, Hellion Yu was worried. She tugged at the girl's sleeve and pursed her lips. I'm fine. You don't need to worry. When Grandfather Tianya returns, he will prove my innocence for me, so there's no need for you. Feng Ruching patted Hellion Yu's hand gently and smiled. She then stepped forward and walked slowly toward Feng Lieni. The entire banquet hall went silent. No one dared to open their mouths, and even their breathing grew shallower. Only the sound of the young girl's footsteps could be heard. Me for extra chapters. Feng Ruching stopped in front of Feng Lieni. As I said, I've seen it, and it looks very similar to yours. The only difference is my jade necklace has a real spirit gathering stone on it. The young girl raised her hand, and a jade necklace dangled from her fingertips, falling into everyone's eyes. The jade stone carried a faint glow, so dazzling that it dazzled everyone's eyes. The old housekeeper stared at the jade stone in the young girl's hand. His heart beat faster. Maiden Feng, can I take a look at your jade necklace? Feng Ruching glanced at the old housekeeper and handed it to him. This was the first time the old housekeeper had touched the jade necklace, and the coldness of the stone made him go stiff. He cautiously stroked the word Feng on the jade. This is exactly the same as what I've seen back then. His words were like a heavy rod that struck on everyone's chests. Feng Liani's face darkened, and she clenched her fists tightly. Only after a long time did the corners of her mouth curl up into a sneer. Old housekeeper, there are too many liars in this world. Take another look, is this my jade necklace? This is indeed carved by General himself. I recognize it. There's a trace mark in the upper corner of it. I noticed it back then, and General said it was the first time he carved a stone and had accidentally left a mark on it, and I even know exactly where it is. But the jade stone that Feng Lianyi had just taken out the jade stone and had traces of the mistake being carved into it. However, he had only glanced at it just now and did not see it clearly. He thought that no one would be so free to create another jade out of it, so he did not think much about it until Feng Riching destroyed that jade. Chapter 1606, Here Come the Troublemakers 2, Maiden Feng. The Empress walked toward Feng Riching. Where did you get this jade necklace from? Feng Riching stroked her nose. Well, an old man. An old master gave it to me. He traded it with me for a jar of wine. Initially, I thought this necklace was useless, but I didn't expect to watch a good show today just because of it. So, not bad. Fu Chen, who has been silent since the beginning, was stunned. In your eyes, the spirit-gathering stone is only a ticket to a good show. Oh, you called him an old man back then, but now, you've changed it to an old master. Fu Chen pursed his lips. Mother is being obvious. So, the old man who had traded the jade necklace with Mother's spirit wine was Tianya. Suddenly, Feng Lianqing laughed a sardonic laugh. Feng Riching, are you still trying to say that that old man is Tianya? Feng Riching's face turned cold. It should be him, but you need to respect the old man, you have to call him an old master. The words old man were too rude. Hee, Feng Lianyi sneered. Who in this world doesn't know that General loves his jade like a treasure? How can he be so kind as to trade his treasure for a jar of wine? That's ridiculous. I was almost convinced that you didn't steal my jade necklace, but then you took it out yourself. Now, give it back to me. Nan Xian's face was cold as he glanced at Feng Lianyi. Just this glance alone could make Feng Lianyi fall to hell, her body trembled. But she would not give up. Her eyes were filled with pride and stubbornness as she bit her lip, refusing to retreat. Suddenly, the piercing cold wind came steeply as if it contained a powerful force. Feng Lianyi could feel as if her skin was being cut all over her body, but she could not see any injuries. She was trembling with pain. And in the entire banquet hall, no one else had this feeling except for Feng Lianyi, so they thought Feng Lianyi was shivering from anger. Me for extra chapters. Xiao Qing said, respect the old man. If it were not for the respect for Tianya, he probably would not have let Qing Zhu send the mice out and would certainly have gone to eavesdrop himself. After all, this was general manner. Some etiquettes had to be respected. Nan Xian, Feng Riching raised her hand to stop Nan Xian. She looked at Feng Lianyi and smiled, you said this jade necklace is yours. Feng Lianyi looked at Nan Xian somewhat timidly, perhaps the pain from just now was too unbearable, making her a bit scared of Nan Xian. But things had already come to this point. There was no way to turn back. She bit her lip and said, that's right. It was General who gave it to me in the first place. Oh, Feng Riching pointed at the red rope in the Empress' hand. But, your necklace has been destroyed. You, Feng Lianyi's face changed slightly. She was just about to point at Feng Riching, when she saw Nan Xian glancing at her. She withdrew her hand and clenched it. You must have swapped it, and the one in your hand is mine. Feng Riching smiled faintly as she turned to the Empress. Empress, did you get it? The Empress' face darkened, her eyes were cold and stern. Feng Lianyi, you were the one who just admitted that the jade stone was made of obsidian and not a spirit-gathering stone. Now I don't know which of your words are true and which are false. This time, he would not forgive Feng Lianyi easily, but he could not punish her as he wished because she was General's people and had to wait for Tianya to return to settle this. Guards, stop this girl. Chi Fong ordered coldly. In an instant, a few people in guard uniforms appeared from the dark. But before they could step forward, a figure in a white robe was already standing in front of them. Do not interfere when Qing'er teaches someone a lesson. A cold light flashed in the guard's eyes as they instantly rushed toward Nan Xian. Feng Lianyi spurted out a mouthful of blood, staining her white dress red. Her face was pale as she stared at Feng Ruching with eyes filled with hatred, gritting her teeth. Feng Ru Qing. You don't have to shout my name like that. I'm disgusted. Feng Lianyi was stunned. She was almost angry enough to vomit blood again. Her eyes were red with fierceness and anger. Without waiting for the young man to give orders, the group of skilled masters behind him instantly drew their weapons and looked at Nan Xian coldly and sternly. Arrest this brat as well. Even in the face of such a situation, the young man's tone was still arrogant. His eyes were cold as he looked at Nan Xian. But the young man felt uneasy when he saw Nan Xian's hand. There was no wind in the banquet hall, but Nan Xian's long white robe was moving. His eyes were cold as he stared at those people of Yunhuan Kingdom. Suddenly, a punch landed on the young man's chest, sending him flying out of the hall. The young man spurted out a mouthful of blood, his arm numb from the shock. His eyes were then filled with monstrous rage. The group of skilled masters immediately rushed toward Nan Xian. Nan Xian raised his hand and pulled Feng Ruching into his arms. His fine hair was moving, and his handsome face looked ruthless under the cold moonlight. Feng Lianyi could no longer care about jealousy. She was trembling as she gazed at these people of Yunhuan Kingdom in horror. Why did these people have to come when General and Feng Lianqing is not here? Why did they come? Qi Fang's face was cold as he took a few steps forward and said solemnly, "It seems like the people of Yunhuan Kingdom are going to cause trouble again." The young man wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth and sneered. If it weren't for that old man Tianya, Tianling Kingdom would have been under our Yunhuan Kingdom. He's so meddlesome. So, he's bound to suffer. He slowly turned his cold eyes to Feng Lianyi. But what made the young man somewhat puzzled was why Feng Lianyi was trapped in the wall. It would probably take some time to gouge her out. Just as the young man was speaking, the skilled masters of Yunhuan Kingdom had already arrived in front of Nan Xian. Nan Xian lifted his sleeve, and powerful energy suddenly shot out fiercely. The skilled masters did not retreat even after sensing the man's strength. They all seemed indifferent, and in the blink of an eye, the sharp weapons in their hands were already headed toward Nan Xian. Me for extra chapters. Boom! Endless energy surged out from Nan Xian's body, creating a barrier around him and Feng Ruching. The skilled master's swords bounced off an invisible barrier as soon as they came close to them. They could not help but take a few steps back. The young man was startled. He frowned and looked at Nan Xian cautiously. This bastard. He does not look like an experienced master. Moreover, he knew all the skilled masters of the Tianling Kingdom, yet he had never seen the man in front of him. What is your relationship with General Manor? Why are you protecting Feng Lianyi? Protecting Feng Lianyi. Nan Xian looked cold and expressionless. Whether she lives or dies is none of my business, but you. You shouldn't have tried to touch my wife. The young man was speechless. He was a little confused. This man was attacking him because he had almost touched that woman's shoulder just now. Since you have nothing to do with General Manor, then I will ignore your crime of hitting me. I can let you and your wife go if you get out of the way now. But, he sneered. The people of General Manor and the imperial family. None of them are allowed to leave. Chapter 16:10. Here comes the troublemaker. 6. Qi Fang's face was cold. The palace's skilled masters were already behind him, looking cautiously at the Yunhuan Kingdom people. However, Qi Fang was still considered a responsible man as he wanted to pull the Empress and his children behind him, protecting them first. But, looking at Qi Fang's hand reaching out, the little fatty suddenly became very agile and dodged to the side, hurriedly rushing toward Feng Ruqing. He did not trust anyone here. The only person he trusted was Feng Ruqing. Just like when he was in Spirit Beast Mountain back then, he believed that following her was the only way for him to survive. Qi Qiner looked at Qi Fang. She then turned to the little fatty and followed him, hiding behind Feng Ruqing. Qi Fang's hands froze in mid-air. He looked a little embarrassed, but he had no time to think about it as those of Yunhuan Kingdom were coming over. Feng Ruqing shrugged and said, "They're here to kill Feng Lianyi." Then, should she wait until Feng Lianyi and Qi Fang settled this matter first, or should she make a move now? Feng Ruqing rubbed her nose. Well, she would save Feng Lianyi if she was almost dying. After all, Feng Ruqing still had not gotten what she wanted to know, so she could not allow Feng Lianyi to die just yet. "Your Highness," an old man who was following behind Second Prince looked at Helian Yu and said in a low voice, "That girl is from the Helian family, and she's close with the people of General Manor." Second Prince stopped in his tracks and looked at Helian Yu sideways with a cold smile on his lips. "This little girl looks like trash, and this kind of person. I can settle her myself." He laughed and raised his hand to grab Helian Yu. However, before he could touch Helian Yu's shoulder, he was once again grabbed by someone. This time, the one that grabbed him was a beautiful hand with fair and flawless fingers. Crack! The young girl twisted his hand so hard that it made him howl like a pig that was about to die. Me for extra chapters. Nan Xian had just crippled Second Prince's left hand, and Feng Ruqing had broken his right hand. His eyes were filled with rage. "I wanted to spare you guys for the sake of you being a pregnant woman. But I didn't expect you guys to be so ungrateful and provoke me over and over again." Feng Ruqing raised her head and stared at him. Second Prince had never looked at Feng Ruqing's face since he came. All he could see was her big belly. He had no interest in a pregnant woman, so he did not even spare a glance for her. Until the moment Feng Ruqing stared at him. His heart skipped a beat. This woman. She's so beautiful. But no matter how beautiful she was still a scourge. A vicious pregnant woman. She would not set a good example for the child in her womb. Such a woman was not his type. Arrest them. Second Prince's eyes darkened as he raised his hand and ordered coldly. These two did not look like people from General Manor, and he did not want to arrest the innocent. Even though Nan Xian had made a move against him initially, he still did not intend to settle the score with these two. However, his patience had a limit, and not to mention, he was the Prince of Yunhuan Kingdom. Chapter 1611, A Breakthrough to King Warrior Wushang City. Soldiers and horses had surrounded the entire city and even Helian Manor. Blood flowed through the city, accompanied by those heartbreaking cries, causing Feng Liangqing's heart to ache. His eyes reddened as he saw this city fill with blood. Endless anger surged fiercely to his heart. In war, it was always the civilians who suffered the most. He hated war, and he hated these people who started it. On the street, a little girl was sitting on the ground helplessly, crying. But the people across the street did not let her go because she was young. They raised their swords high in their hands, pointing them at the little girl. Feng Lianqing frowned and swiftly rushed toward the little girl. In a split second, he had pulled the little girl to his side, pulling out his sword as fast as he could against the swords in front of him. Bang! After blocking the other man's sword, Feng Lianqing kicked the enemy in front of him fiercely and met another man with another sword. The skilled masters of Yunhuan Kingdom had been brought to General Manor, and those skilled masters from the other 3 kingdoms had also arrived. They all headed toward Feng Lianqing as soon as they saw him. Roar! At this moment, a leopard growl suddenly echoed through the night sky. Hua led a group of spirit beasts rushing from beneath the night sky. Its gaze was so fierce, its eyes were cold as it looked at the soldiers of the 4 kingdoms. The spirit beasts had never had a peaceful day again after the man from the Nan family had taken the throne. It was not easy for them to meet a nice person like Feng Ruqing and live in peace, but now it seemed that no matter where they went, they had to face the same problem. The Spirit Beast Mountain was their home in the first place, but they were unable to protect it. This time, they would not let these people destroy their second home. Me for extra chapters. Looking at Hua biting off a chunk from someone's neck, Feng Lianqing was a little shocked. He never thought that these spirit beasts would help him protect General Manor. Hua glanced coldly at Feng Lianqing. Since we have stayed here, this is our home too. It's not easy to have a peaceful life where we can plant flowers and pick grasses when we have time. So, I won't let anyone destroy it. Moreover, there were countless spirit herbs they had harvested in their manor, and they would not allow these people to touch it. Thank you very much, Brother Hua. Feng Lianqing smiled. Leave the enemies here to me. I won't allow them to take a single step in. Can you help me get this little girl to a safe place? Hua looked at Feng Lianqing suspiciously. Can you do it? If you died, my master would probably throw a 3-day feast in return for the day you let Feng Lianyi disturb her morning sleep. Feng Lianqing was stunned. If he were really unfortunate enough to be buried here, Feng Ruqing would definitely do as Hua said. That woman. She looked very affectionate and had charmed Helian Yu and the little prince, but she was so ruthless. Chapter 1612, A Breakthrough to King Warrior 2. If that person were not important to her, she would not care if they were dead or alive. Moreover, Feng Ruqing had once asked the little prince to beat him up. Don't worry. I won't die so easily. Feng Lianqing smiled. The most important thing to me is to protect the people of Wushang City. This is what my master has taught me since I was a child. As a soldier, I must put the people first and the ruler second, and myself. I do not exist. As a soldier, I must guard the entire Wushang City. He took a few steps forward firmly. His eyes burned with justice. He was not afraid of facing the countless skilled masters that had rushed in front of him. Hua's gaze changed slightly, and it looked at Feng Lianqing with some admiration. But Feng Lianqing raised his sword. If you don't mind, can you leave a few spirit beasts behind to help me? After all, the number of enemy soldiers seems to be a bit high. Hua was speechless. It looked at the growing number of people, and then at Feng Lianqing, who was surrounded by a crowd of people, and said helplessly, you and your other brothers will stay. I'm going to General Manor to find my master. As soon as it finished its words, it picked up the little girl, turned around, and rushed toward General Manor. The long sword sliced through Feng Lianqing's arm. Blood started flowing, but his face remained expressionless. A handsome face with a bold look on it. Just now, Hua should have gone to find Maiden Feng. Oh no, Lady Nan. Helian, you must be with Lady Nan now. With these spirit beasts, he would at least not have to worry about Helian Yu's safety. He could also settle these enemies peacefully. General Manor. The young ladies and men had all curled up and hid in a corner. There was utter fear in their eyes. The emperor had many skilled masters, but not all of them were here. The others were still in the palace, and they could not help them here. Me for extra chapters. Nan Xian looked like a mighty man, but he might not be able to deal with so many skilled masters. These skilled masters were as powerful as a king warrior, and some of them were even only one step away from reaching king warrior tier. It was obvious to see that they were determined to win against Wushang City. No, not just Wushang City. The fact that these people were able to enter Wushang City was proof that they had conquered the other cities of Tianling Kingdom. There was no news at all, it showed what this group of people had achieved. Their strength was shocking. Feng Lianyi finally crawled out of the wall. She coughed out a mouthful of blood, and her whole face was a mess. Second Prince, your Yunhuan Kingdom is so daring to be so arrogant while General is away. When General returns, all of you will die. Feng Lianyi laughed out in a low voice and looked sideways at Feng Ruqing. Do you know who she is? General has even given his precious necklace to this woman. She is much more honorable than me in general manner. Feng Lianyi. This time, even Qi Feng was a little angry. He looked at Feng Lianyi fiercely. He had not expected that Feng Lianyi would use Feng Ruqing to save her own life. Qi Fang's eyes darkened as he saw the skilled masters of Yunhuan Kingdom had drawn their weapons and surrounded Feng Ruqing and Nan Xian. Maiden Feng's necklace was not given by Tianya. My son, Qiyu, had stolen it from Tianya and given it to her. So it has nothing to do with Maiden Feng. The little brat was a little angry, trying even harder to gobble something. Suddenly, countless spiritual energy spread in from outside, powerful enough to turn into a sea of spiritual qi. In the banquet hall, endless spiritual energy was pouring into Feng Ruqing's body as if it was chasing after a soul. Those skilled masters of Yunhuan Kingdom who had wanted to make a move suddenly stopped, shocked. Everyone present, except for Nan Xian, turned to look at Feng Ruqing, confused. They did not understand what was happening to her. Chapter 16-14, A Breakthrough to King Warrior. For how did she suddenly make a breakthrough? The energy was as fierce as a storm and as powerful as the sea. The spiritual qi was even more like a hurricane, blowing through the girl's body. Not to mention the others, even Feng Ruqing herself was stunned. Her eyes filled with confusion as if she could not even figure out why she had suddenly made a breakthrough. Just like that day, she had woken up and broken through to advanced holy warrior tier. Within her body, the little brat saw that no matter how hard she tried, the spiritual qi was still unable to pass the barrier. She pursed her small lips, slightly aggravated, and simply gave up. The glow of the black sword also gradually diminished, and there was no more movement. The spiritual qi within the body all dispersed as if nothing had happened. Feng Ruqing's eyes were slightly sunken, her fingers caressing her abdomen, her eyes carrying an unreadable light. These two breakthroughs must have something to do with this little brat. Initially, the little brat had absorbed enough spiritual qi and fallen into a deep sleep. But every time that black sword stirred her up, she woke up and absorbed some spiritual qi again. If Nan Xian did not stop her back then, perhaps that spiritual qi would have been absorbed by her again. But this little brat was not a willful fellow. She simply gave up after failing twice. You! What did you just do? Second Prince was filled with fear. Wait, no. I didn't do anything just now. How did you suddenly make a breakthrough? He did not hit her or bully her. How could he have forced her to make a breakthrough? Wait. Second Prince's face darkened as he looked at the skilled masters of Yunhuan Kingdom who had surrounded Feng Ruqing and the others. He then turned to the people behind Qi Feng. I've brought 10 king warriors this time. There are 4 king warriors with Qi Feng, and this man seems to be a king warrior as well, plus the woman who just made a breakthrough. Second Prince lowered his face and sneered. There are still 3 more people on our side. Bang! Without any hesitation, Feng Ruqing kicked Second Prince so fast that he did not have time to dodge at all. Me for extra chapters. After Second Prince flew away, those skilled masters of Yunhuan Kingdom rushed fiercely toward Feng Ruqing with swords in their hands. But their swords could not even touch Feng Ruqing. It was as if a barrier had been set up around the young girl's body, blocking everyone from touching her. These people were startled. Later, they saw the man in the long white robe slowly approaching Feng Ruqing, raising his hand and pulling her into his arms. He glanced coldly at the skilled masters of Yunhuan Kingdom. Boom! At that moment, it was as if there was a heavy hammer striking their hearts. They could feel a palpitating sensation under the man's indifferent gaze. The man raised his hand, and a gust of fierce wind surged from his hand, instantly sending these people back a few steps. Those who were a little less strong felt a tickle in their throats before they spurted a mouthful of blood. Second Prince was startled. This fucking bastard is not a king warrior, but his strength is almost as powerful as a king warrior. Ever since Feng Ruqing had made a breakthrough, the people of Wushang City remained silent. It was not until after Nan Xian had once again pushed back a group of skilled masters from Yunhuan Kingdom that they gradually came back to their senses. They had thought that Nan Xian could easily send them flying back because these skilled masters were defenseless just now. But Nan Xian had done it the second time, and these skilled masters were still unable to resist it. Chapter 16-15, A Breakthrough to King Warrior V. They both looked so young, and they had already reached King Warrior tier. Howl. Suddenly, the sound of a leopard howling echoed through the night. It was so loud that Second Prince's heart trembled in fear. He raised his head to look, and in an instant, a group of spirit beasts, led by a leopard, appeared in his vision. Their ferocious appearance almost made Second Prince faint. Why are the General Manor's defenses so weak? How did these spirit beasts get in? Second Prince's voice grew hoarse. He knew that some of the leopards were as strong as a king warrior. Yes. A king warrior. Hua was once as powerful as advanced king warrior. The injury had made it lose its power. However, now it had recovered, and of course, it had regained its peak strength. Second Prince was on the verge of tears. These spirit beasts looked menacing and were definitely not easy to provoke. How did these spirit beasts ambush General Manor? Why is there no one guarding this place? The crowd turned their attention to Second Prince. Have you forgotten that you're also an intruder? Do you still have the nerve to be expecting to be protected? Qi Fang frowned. This leopard is now an advanced king warrior. It was not of this rank a few days ago when it attacked the palace with Feng Ruqing. After Hua walked into the banquet hall, it stopped in its tracks, not even looking at Second Prince. It then slowly walked toward Feng Ruqing. Master! It stopped in its tracks and then approached Feng Ruqing as it glanced at Second Prince coldly. Is this the fool who wants to harm my master? Feng Ruqing did not speak. She walked toward Second Prince, who had already turned pale. Those skilled masters of Yunhuan Kingdom had already surrounded Second Prince. They were protecting him with their swords and looking at Feng Ruqing fiercely. Get out of the way if you don't want to end up in my spirit beast's belly. Feng Ruqing shouted coldly. The skilled masters looked at Feng Ruqing, then at Second Prince, and finally at the grinning spirit beasts and quickly took a few steps back. This woman is pregnant. Of course, she doesn't wish to see blood, so she definitely won't go too far. If we provoke her, maybe she will order those spirit beasts to swallow Second Prince first. Me for extra chapters. Therefore, it's better if we retreat first and wait for reinforcements to arrive before taking revenge. Hey! Don't leave me. Second Prince's face grew paler when he saw the skilled masters were leaving him. He was so scared that he followed after them, taking a few steps back. But someone suddenly pushed him from behind, causing him to fall in front of Feng-Riching helplessly. He landed on his knees as if he was kneeling in front of the young girl. His face turned red from embarrassment. He tried to get up from the ground, but who knew that a strong pressure would come down upon him like a giant mountain, crushing his bones, causing him to spurt out a mouthful of blood. Earlier you said you want to send, who was it again, to be a dancer for your army? Feng-Riching was expressionless, looking down at Second Prince coldly. Second Prince's face was pale. Helianyu, who? Feng Liani, good. Feng-Riching smiled. Remember, once you have said it, you have to do it. Second Prince was dumbfounded. Will this girl let them go? Who sent you to General Manor? Feng-Riching looked down at Second Prince and asked indifferently, and why did you besiege General Manor? Chapter 16:16, A Breakthrough to King Warrior 6. No, it's not that I want to besiege General Manor. Second Prince sounded timid. He was no longer as arrogant as he was just now. The four kingdoms have united to destroy Wushang City. Feng-Riching frowned. Luyun Kingdom was once under siege by other kingdoms too, and the same thing was happening in Wushang City, too. It seemed that the emperor of these four kingdoms liked to join forces to bully others. Second Prince looked at Feng-Riching cautiously. However, I feel that the commoners are innocent, and I don't want to kill them, so I have brought my men to attack General Manor. Feng-Riching's eyes were cold. Are you trying to say that you are still a good person? Of course. Second Prince suddenly felt the young girl's breath grow a little colder and hurriedly said, No. I was so foolish. I didn't know there's a good maiden like you living in Wushang City. That's why I have dared to come rashly. Otherwise, out of respect for you, I would never have dared to come and cause trouble here. The crowd was shocked and speechless. This man really knew how to save his life. Anger suddenly flashed in Feng-Riching's eyes. Maiden. Are you blind? Can't you see that I'm already pregnant? Call me Lady Nan. Second Prince was startled. All right, Lady Nan. I understand. Lady Nan, may I go now? Feng-Riching smiled. This isn't a place where you can come and go as you wish. Lady Nan, I was wrong. I didn't know you were here. We're here only to kill General Manor's people. They are the cruelest genocides on this land. Especially that Tianya, who likes to meddle in other people's business. The other day, I had merely flirted with a beauty from Tianling Kingdom. I didn't kidnap her to be my concubine. However, that old bastard had chased after me for 10 days just to beat me up. Second Prince did not realize that Feng-Riching's face had turned cold and continued, That's why. I have volunteered to come this time when I heard my father say that he was coming to Wushang City. This woman hates Feng Liani so much. She must also have a grudge against General me for extra chapters. Moreover, somebody had smashed the banquet hall before I arrived. Amongst those present, only this woman could possibly have done such a thing. So, Second Prince thought that Feng-Riching also held a grudge against the people in General Manor, and now they shared the same hatred of General Manor. Feng-Riching did not have any more hesitation this time and picked Second Prince up with one hand. Yes, she had grabbed him with just one hand and lifted Second Prince above her head. And then ruthlessly brought him down onto the floor. Yas Rage I Chapter 16:17, Tian Yas Rage I Feng-Riching raised her foot high and it down on Second Prince's chest hard. Second Prince spurted out a mouthful of blood, his pale face filled with fear. Prince of Yunhuan Kingdom. Feng-Riching squatted down and looked at the man lying on the ground smilingly. How powerful is your Yunhuan Kingdom? Second prince curled his body up. My Yunhuan kingdom is the strongest among the 5 kingdoms, except that pervert, Tianya. Feng Ruqing frowned. Second prince shivered and hurriedly corrected his words, excluding a strong man like Tianya guarding Wushang city. Well, little pot, Feng Ruqing called out calmly. Suddenly, a huge pot flew in from outside the door, creating a gale as it hovered above Feng Ruqing's head. This huge pot emitted such a powerful aura that made Yunhuan Kingdom's skilled masters tremble in fear and not dare to make any movements. The huge pot looked at Second Prince, disgusted. It somewhat hesitated to make any movement. Feng Ruqing glanced at the huge pot. It trembled and quickly leaped towards Second Prince, who was screaming terrifyingly, and swallowed him. The banquet hall fell silent. A few moments later, those skilled masters regained their senses and instantly drew their weapons, trembling. Lady, Second Prince has surrendered. Why do you have to kill him? He can still be forgiven. Return him to us now. And what if I don't want to return him? Feng Ruqing smirked. Ah hua. Yes, master. Get all of these people out of my way and leave me alone, me for extra chapters. She still had a lot of business to take care of, and if it were not for these people disturbing her unexpectedly, she might have settled her affairs. At the corner of the wall, Feng Liani was biting her lip hard. She clenched her fists tightly as she saw Feng Ruqing approaching her. Her eyes were filled with hatred. Right then, a group of troops rushed in through the door and instantly surrounded the entire banquet hall. Feng Ruqing turned her head to look and found that those troops did not spare a glance at the skilled masters of Yunhuan Kingdom, but instead, looked at Feng Liani. Maiden Liani, just now the enemies of the 4 kingdoms came to attack. We were unable to come to protect Maiden Liani. Please forgive us. General had said that no matter what, the commoner's safety must come first. As a general, he could not leave the battlefields without orders. Moreover, there was still fighting in the city. But he was so worried about Maiden Liani that he had asked his men to stay behind as he led the army to come and protect Feng Liani. Qi Fang slightly frowned. Lu Yi, the battle in general manner is over. You can leave now. Lu Yi was a talented, hardworking, and honest man. Therefore, he was taken in by Tianya right after Tianya came to Wushang City. Lu Yi was also a vice-general and had his manner. However, even though Lu Yi was talented, he was too young, and his strength could not even compare to Feng Lianqing. So, even if he came early, he could not be of any use. Who said it's already over? Feng Liani sneered, blood flowing from the corner of her mouth. Lu Yi, this woman has trespassed into general manor without permission, and she has even attacked me so many times. Take her away now. And Yas Rage 2 Chapter 16-18, Tian Yas Rage 2, yes, Maiden Liani. Lu Yi's face darkened. Maiden Liani is considered as a goddess in general manner, perfect and flawless. How could one treat her like this? Lu Yi. Qi Fang's voice was cold. I command you to stay away from her. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I, Lu Yi, will only obey General's orders. Now that General and Master Lianqing are not here, I will only obey Maiden Liani's orders. In the meantime, Feng Ruqing was already impatient. It seems like it is not over yet. One has left, and here comes another one. Nan Xian touched her head and spoke gently, if you're tired, go sit aside and rest. I can settle these people. All right, she was indeed a little tired. She had not even had a good rest today because of this dinner. Ah Hua quickly pushed a chair in front of Feng Ruqing. Feng Ruqing brushed her sleeves and took her seat. She supported her head with her hand, smiling at Lu Yi and the others. The man's face was cold, his eyes indifferent as he caressed his long sleeves. A powerful momentum instantly grew, permeating the entire banquet hall, causing Lu Yi's face to change dramatically. King Warrior. He is a King Warrior. The air was somewhat frozen, and Lu Yi even felt slightly difficult to breathe. Lu Yi, Feng Lianyi took a deep breath. Do you still remember the talisman that General gave you back then? Lu Yi was a little surprised, and he slowly closed his eyes. Back then, he and Master Lianqing had followed General deep into a mausoleum and picked up this talisman with a soul hidden inside. That soul was so powerful that even General was no match for him. Therefore, General promised that soul to find a suitable dead body for him to possess. General, who was still a man of his word but found the job too troublesome, had passed the talisman to Lu Yi. But General had promised to find a dead body, not a living person. What shocked Lu Yi was how Feng Lianyi knew about this. Me for extra chapters. Maiden Lianyi, I can't do this. General won't allow it. Lu Yi. Feng Lianyi was anxious. These are our enemies, not innocent people. There's nothing wrong with you doing this. Besides, haven't you always liked me? How can you talk about it if you won't even do it for me? Lu Yi opened his eyes, and he seemed to be struggling. General had promised to find a dead body, but these people in front of him were all living people. But what's the difference between these people and the 4 enemy armies out there? They have indiscriminately barged into General Manor and attacked such a gentle and kind girl, Lianyi. If he was strong enough, then these people would already be dead. He only had to turn them into corpses and leave the rest to the soul to settle. Even if General knew, he would not blame him. After all, he had to protect Maiden Lianyi. Boom! Without waiting for Lu Yi to make a move, Nan Xian had already done so. A powerful storm surged out around his body, sweeping away all those people of General Manor who were close by, making them fall hard to the ground, spitting blood. As soon as Lu Yi fell to the ground, another sword light rushed toward him and pierced his heart. There was blood left in his mouth, yet he still tried to stand up from the ground. Feng Ruqing sat straight and looked at Lu Yi, slightly surprised. Lu Yi was Tian Ya's people. She should not let Nan Xian make a deadly move against him. But what Feng Lianyi had said just now could put all people here in danger. So, she would never give Lu Yi a chance to fight back for everyone's safety. Booth! I can't believe he didn't die from Nan Xian's sword light. Its spirit hedgehog armor. Helian Yu's eyes were slightly sunken. Grandfather Tianya is generous. He gave it to all his generals, including my grandfather. Spirit hedgehog armor is made of the thickest black iron from the Spirit Beast Mountain, shaped like a hedgehog, and it's used for defense. It can even withstand attacks from King Warrior, but Helian Yu paused. With Spirit Hedgehog armor, anyone at King Warrior tier needs to attack thrice to destroy it, but just now, he was clearly injured, just not fatal. Spirit Hedgehog armor was inconvenient to wear. Moreover, the enemies that Brother Lianqing and the others had met were not very strong, and none of them were King Warrior. Even if Grandfather Tianya had given them Spirit Hedgehog armor, they would not have worn it. But Spirit Hedgehog armor was not invincible. It could only block 3 attacks from a King Warrior, but he would surely be blown up and die after 3 attacks. But there were few people in this world like Nan Xian, who clearly had not reached King Warrior tier but could still make one with Spirit Hedgehog armor injured with just 1 attack. However, but before Nan Xian could attack again, Lu Yi had already taken out the talisman paper and swiftly tore it apart. At that moment, a powerful force like a storm overwhelmed a mountain filled the entire banquet hall. It made the banquet hall eerie and like hell. Outside Wushang City, The old man in red was staring at the 4 old men in front of him arrogantly. These 4 old men were no longer as clean and neat as they initially were. They looked like beggars, their clothes ragged and their faces covered in dirt and blood. "I've told you," Tianya smiled faintly. "In my eyes, you are no different from Chi Fong. All of you are trash." His tone was arrogant. Me for extra chapters. You, Mithraea looked unhappy. "When did you make a breakthrough?" Intermediate King Warrior tier. Tianya had reached Intermediate King Warrior tier. They could not defeat him in this battle because of that. Just a little while ago, Tianya raised his eyebrows. "I've traded my jade necklace for a jug of wine. Yum, that wine is not only delicious but also allowed me to make a breakthrough calmly. So you guys are so unlucky today. You've become the first people to attack me after my breakthrough." The old men's faces changed dramatically, somewhat surprised. What kind of wine could help a king warrior to make a breakthrough? Of course, the spirit chi provided by the spirit wine had a negligible effect on a king warrior, but it could make him calm. Whether or not one could make a breakthrough next would depend on one's talent. Tianya was already a talented man. That was why he could make a breakthrough easily. This would not happen to other ordinary people even if he drank 100 jugs of spirit wine. Boom! Suddenly, there was a loud booming sound that swirled into a powerful and eerie pressure not far away in Wushang City. This powerful energy instantly made Tianya's face darkened. Lu Yi, that bastard. At first, he had agreed to help that soul, but he was lazy by nature, and Feng Lianqing was lazier than him. They did not want to find any dead body for that soul, so in the end, Tianya had decided to leave this task to Lu Yi. But he did not expect that it had been a few years, and this bastard Lu Yi still had not found a suitable body for that soul. If Tianya had not promised that soul, he would have long not wanted to bother with this worrying matter. But he had ordered Lu Yi to bring the soul far from Wushang City once he had found a dead body so that the soul would not injure any innocent people here. However, the fucking bastard dared to call that soul out when they were still in the city. Tianya, the white-robed old man stepped in front of Tianya. He looked wretched but still maintained his arrogant look. "Even though you have made a breakthrough to Intermediate King Warrior tier, it's still a bit difficult to kill the 4 of us. But if you tell me who gave you that wine, we will, get out of my way." Tianya threw a slap at him, smacking the white-robed old man. The other 3 old men were about to stop Tianya from leaving, but Tianya's slap had made them stop abruptly and turn away at the speed of lightning. "The weather's great tonight." The Emperor of Tianqin Kingdom looked up at the bright moon in the sky. "Well, it's nice to come out tonight to enjoy the moonlight." The other emperors also looked at the bright moon and agreed. As soon as he said this, Tianya had hurriedly rushed to Wushang City and disappeared under the moonlight in the blink of an eye. After he left, the Emperor of Tianqin Kingdom subconsciously wiped the sweat from his forehead. How did this Tianya become so ferocious? It's horrible, and with his furious appearance, he looked even scarier. Messing with him at such a time was a death wish. Then, what should we do now? What else can we do? Hurry up, bring our armies back. Chi Fong, this trash is so lucky. He has the old emperor helping him back then, and now Tianya, to guard his kingdom. As long as Tianya is still in Tianling Kingdom, there's nothing we can do to conquer this kingdom. The Emperor of Guyu Kingdom was somewhat reluctant to leave. His eyes were fixed on Wushang City for quite a long time before he eventually turned around and walked away. Me for extra chapters. The battle, which just started, had already ended, inside General Manor. Feng Ruqing stood up from her chair and walked to Nan Xian's side. Nan Xian's face was cold, but a few solemnities gradually appeared in his stern gaze. The dark fog inside the banquet hall grew thicker. A young man gradually stepped out of the dark fog. This young man was as handsome as an immortal. His gaze was cold and stern as he looked around at the people present. "This time, if you find me another trash for me to possess, I will kill you." Possess, this single word made everyone tremble, and some even hid under their seats in panic, trying to hide away from this creature. Louis's forehead broke out in cold sweat. "You can take these two people in front of you." His gaze was directed at Feng Ruqing and Nan Xian. The young man smiled coldly as he followed Louis's gaze, but stiffened when he saw Feng Ruqing's face. Even the air in the banquet hall was a little colder than usual. "It's you." Feng Ruqing was stunned. Somehow, when she heard the young man gnashing his teeth in rage, the first thing she thought of was Hu Qing, who hated the Ninth Emperor so much. "Did I snatch your man too?" Feng Ruqing looked at the man and then turned to Nan Xian. "Could it be that this guy is interested in Nan Xian? Maybe I have snatched Nan Xian away from him back then, that's why he hates me so much." "Bullshit," the young man snapped. "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be so miserable. I can't even die in peace, locked in this talisman. I still can't find any dead body to possess." Louis looked at the young man's angry face. "Obviously, it's you who is too demanding, that's why you can't find a suitable dead body to possess." Of course, he would never dare to say that. This guy was a bit shifty, and if he angered him, all people in general manner would suffer because of him. "It doesn't matter if I'm a human or a ghost, I will never let you go." The young man's energy increased abruptly, and his eyes were filled with a monstrous hatred. Feng Ruqing was silent for a moment and said, "Fu Qin, it looks like the Ninth Emperor has so many enemies. There was Hu Qing before, and now came another one. I wonder how many more enemies I will encounter later." Fu Chen's face darkened. "No, the Ninth Emperor won't mess with other people. It is always someone else who messes with her first." Feng Ruqing held her forehead. "This kid. He won't understand." By the time the man rushed toward Feng Ruqing, Nan Xian was already in front of her. He waved his sleeves, and a strong wind blew at the young man. "Me for extra chapters." The man sneered and waved his hand unconcernedly. The strong wind sent by Nan Xian suddenly disappeared before it could reach the young man. Nan Changfeng, such an annoying shit couple. After all this time, you're still together. The people present could not agree more with the young man's words. If Qing Zhu were here, it would surely laugh out loud. Indeed. They are such a shit couple. The kind that makes people annoyed. The man's face was filled with hatred and anger. He looked at Feng Ruqing and smiled coldly. "Back then, you announced that you wanted to take new disciples. I've worked so hard, facing 1,000 hardships, crossing thousands of mountains and rivers, just to be your disciple, and as a result, you told me that you only accept female disciples. What's so good about those women? Why won't you accept me?" Feng Ruqing took a few steps back. Hu Qing hated her because she had snatched the one he loved and this guy. Only because she refused to take him as a disciple? Ha ha ha. I didn't know that you could become so weak now. I trained so hard back then to seek revenge on you. The man laughed wildly. He smirked and continued, "Besides, if you only accept female disciples, why did you take him in but not me?" The man angrily pointed at Nan Changfeng with envy in his eyes. His talent had amazed the world back then, and countless famous masters wanted to take him as their disciple, but he had unanimously rejected them all. In his mind, only the Ninth Emperor was qualified to be his master. He had waited for so many years for the news that the Ninth Emperor would accept him as a disciple. It's a shame that he was so excited that he had ignored the 3 words, female disciple only, on the notice and rushed to the 9th emperor. His resentment toward the 9th emperor was not just because she had rejected him, but because he was the only man among all the girls who came to worship her back then. He would never forget the way those girls looked at him. It was the shame of his life. At first, he thought that the 9th emperor was a lecher, which was why the 9th emperor only recruited female disciples. But later, when he met her, he accidentally saw her real face. He was too shocked that day and insulted Nan Chongfeng in front of her. He said that Nan Chongfeng was the 9th emperor's gigolo, and she ended up hunting him down like crazy for years. Later, he was forced to leave his body and hid his soul in the ruins. He planned to possess a new body to hide from the 9th emperor and to start cultivating again. But he never thought that. All these years, he had not been able to find a fancy body, or at least a body that was stronger than his previous one. He had survived as a soul without a body for so many years and could no longer enjoy his life as a human. And all of this was because of the 9th emperor. If she had not been chasing him and beating him, how could he have given up his perfect body and hide in the ruins for so many years? Nan Xian, Feng Ruqing tugged on Nan Xian's sleeve and shook her head. She smiled and turned to the young man. I've met someone like you before, someone who has also mistaken me for the 9th emperor. I may look too much like her, but am not the 9th emperor. This guy seemed to be quite a bit stronger than Hu Qing, and Nan Xian might not be her opponent. Either way, his enemy was the 9th emperor, and not her. Mistaken you? How could I be mistaken? I'd recognize you even if you have become ashes. He gritted his teeth angrily. You really have mistaken me for someone else. My surname is Feng. Feng. The man was startled and slightly hesitant. Who are you? My name is Feng Ruqing. My husband is Nan Xian. I'm not the one you're talking about. There's someone like you before, and his name is Hu Qing. He had also mistaken me for the 9th emperor, but after I explained to him, he finally understood and left. Hu Qing, me for extra chapters. The soul which had been swallowed by the huge pot, you mean that guy Hu Qing? The young man sneered. He learned how to possess a dead body from me. That brat is also really unlucky. The 9th emperor had abducted his future wife, his childhood sweetheart doesn't want him anymore, and even his beloved Oiran would only dance with the 9th emperor. Every time the young man said a sentence, Feng Ruqing could feel Nan Xian's breath turn colder, and her body stiffened a little. Seeing Nan Xian's gaze already fixed on her, she stiffened slightly and hurriedly denied, I didn't. No, it wasn't me. Am I that kind of person? My love is only for Nan Xian. Other people's future wife, childhood sweetheart. Oiran. All of them had nothing to do with her. She was not that kind of person. Well, of course, he's not talking about you. Nan Xian's indifferent expression gradually eased quite a bit and turned to look at the young man. The man slightly hesitant as he stared at Feng Ruqing. It really wasn't you. Her face. She really looked like the 9th emperor, whom he once saw with his own eyes. Master, Feng Liani saw that something was not right. Her face changed slightly, and she hurriedly said, since you want to find a suitable body, this woman is the most suitable for you. She is 20 years old and has already reached King Warrior tier, such talent will suit you. Feng Liani. Helian Yu was frightened from the moment the young man appeared. Feng Liani's voice had made her regain her consciousness and shout angrily, you shut up. If anything happens to Xiao Qing, I, Helian Yu, will never let you go for the rest of my life. She had never had a friend in her life. Xiao Qing was the only one, and the one she cherished the most. Feng Ruqing was the one who pulled her out of her state of broken heart and made her understand the true meaning of life. Therefore, she would never allow anyone to set her up like that. Maiden Lieni, the old housekeeper, too, frowned in disapproval. Any grudges they had could be settled privately, this guy. He looked dangerous, and repossession was not a decent thing to do. To the old housekeeper, Maiden Lieni and Vice General Louis had gone too far this time. Oh, the young man smirked. She's right. I've spent enough time in ruins over the years, even if you're not the 9th emperor, I still want your body. Ha ha ha. The man laughed maniacally and rushed toward Feng Ruqing. The entire banquet hall was filled with strong wind. All the tables and chairs were flipped over on the floor. Nan Xian blocked Feng Ruqing's way and faced the young man in front of him. But he forgot that the young man was only a soul, it could not be touched. The young man lightly passed through Nan Xian's body and stood in front of Feng Ruqing, Xiao Qing. Helian Yu was closest to Feng Ruqing. She wanted to come over and stop the man as he was about to rush into Feng Ruqing. However, as soon as she took a step forward, a hand reached out from behind her and pushed her to the front. Fortunately, Feng Ruqing was even faster and slapped the hand away. She then pushed Helian Yu sideways before Helian Yu fell into the crowd. Qinger, me for extra chapters. Nan Xian's energy was like the sea, and his eyes were filled with anger. A long sword suddenly appeared in his hand and headed toward the young man like a burst of light. The young man ignored it at first. He did not even dodge, only wanting to possess Feng Ruqing, but in the next second, his face changed abruptly. The icy cold sword light violently sliced through his back. There was no blood oozing out of his back, but the pain of his injured soul was more severe than the pain of a flesh wound. It was as if his body had been stabbed more than hundreds and thousands of times. The coldness caused him to turn white with pain. He hurriedly turned his head, staring at the long sword in Nan Xian's hand. There was a faint white glow like clouds on top of the sword. Yunling Sword. Nan Changfeng. Yunling Sword was a weapon that the 9th emperor had crafted for Nan Changfeng. Damn, these two are really that couple. How dare you lie to me? You lied to me. How dare you? The young man's anger surged. His long hair and robes fluttered in the wind. His eyes were bloodshot, and he turned to look at Feng Ruqing angrily. Damn you! I trusted you. In that case, I don't want your body anymore. But I'll take your man's body first, ha ha ha. He would never forget the day he went to question the 9th emperor about why she had chosen Nan Changfeng when she had clearly said she would not take a man as her disciple. He still remembered what the 9th emperor had said to him that day. She said, because he's more handsome than you. He admitted it. He knew he was not as handsome as Nan Changfeng. But there were still countless women who were crazy about him. He hated the 9th emperor. Now he'll possess this bastard's body. The 9th emperor can only look at this face but is unable to do anything about it. Ha ha ha. This crazy young man ignored Feng Ruqing and rushed toward Nan Xian. But at this time, a gloomy aura came from behind him as if hell was approaching him, causing the young man to stop abruptly. He turned his head stiffly and looked at the woman behind him. Feng Ruqing smirked. Don't you want my body anymore? Come on. I'm waiting for you. Qinger. Nan Xian's handsome face turned pale. The long sword in his hand carried a fierce light as he once again rushed toward the young man. But this time, the young man no longer paid any attention to Nan Xian and frantically pounced toward Feng Ruqing but failed to enter her body. No one noticed the fear and panic in the young man's eyes when he jumped at her. Feng Ruqing spurted out a mouthful of blood as her body fell backward. At this moment, there was endless panic and anger in Nan Xian's eyes that were always cold and indifferent. It was so terrifying. Qing'er. He stepped forward, catching the woman who was about to fall to the ground. His white robe lifted in the wind as he held the woman in his arms with both hands tightly, unwilling to let her go. Mother! Fu Chen's face turned pale as he quickly rushed to Feng Ruqing. Qin Han in the medium cried out. Me for extra chapters. The entire banquet hall fell eerily silent. Someone among the crowd suddenly shouted, Feng Lianyi is so vicious. I was wrong about her. I never thought she was this kind of person. The others also made angry noises. That's right. Yunhuan Kingdom has attacked us just now. If it weren't for Feng Ruqing, we would have died. General Manor obviously couldn't stop those skilled masters. It was Feng Ruqing who saved us. Perhaps Feng Ruqing never wanted to go against Feng Lianyi from the beginning, but Feng Lianyi made us think that Feng Ruqing was an evil woman. We agreed with Feng Lianyi because a few servants from General Manor kept saying so. Feng Lianyi has fooled us. Feng Lianyi's face turned pale. She bit her lip hard, and her eyes were filled with resentment. What do you mean? Feng Ruqing never wanted to go against me. It's me who never wants to mess with her, but she still continued attacking me. Is it wrong to seek revenge? Lu Yi was dumbfounded. He knew the Yunhuan Kingdom people were here, but it seemed that they were all subdued and did not dare to make any move. After he heard all this, is this couple the one who had subdued Yunhuan Kingdom and saved General Manor? Impossible. They came to hurt Maiden Lianyi. I've done the right thing. I've to protect Maiden Lianyi. Fu Chen, Nan Xian's voice was calm, but it seemed as if there was a brewing storm beneath it. Kill. Kill all of them. Nan Xian rose slowly, holding Feng Ruqing in his arms. Feng Ruqing wanted to find Xiaoya, but he did not want to find anyone. The only one in his heart was Feng Ruqing. He would not let any of them go. Feng Lianyi smiled coldly. She was already satisfied that she could drag Feng Ruqing down before she died. She had no regrets. Suddenly, an angry voice came with a monstrous rage. Lu Yi, you bastard! This voice was so familiar to everyone present. Some people were quietly relieved, and their faces were not as tense as before. Nan Xian held the young girl in his arms tightly and stepped out of the hall. You've taken mother away, then you stay here. Do not let any of them leave until I return with Qing'er. Nan Xian calmly walked toward the door without looking back. He had to take Qing'er to a quiet place and then settle the man trying to take over her body for her. Therefore, he did not have time to pay attention to matters here. He left all these matters to Fu Qin to settle it. The moment Nan Xian walked out of the gate, he happened to cross paths with the general. The old general was dressed in red, and his face was full of anger, but he froze after seeing the two people passing by his side. Why are you here? Wait, Nan Xian did not stop and walked away. The old man glanced at the woman's pale face, and somehow his heart ached. He had wanted to catch up with them and ask what was going on, but feeling the man's indifferent gaze, he still stopped, somewhat wincing. General, Feng Lianyi was finally relieved after she saw that the general had returned. Her bloody face was raised in a shallow curve, looking a little scary. You have returned. The general was back, so she would be safe this time. Good, Maiden Feng, me for extra chapters. Feng Lianqing also happened to walk in. He was covered in blood, and even the sword in his hand was dripping blood. He was stunned, and his face turned pale as he saw Feng Ruqing in Nan Xian's arms. What's wrong with Maiden Feng? Feng. Tianya had forgotten the purpose of him returning to General Manor. He looked slightly confused at the two figures that had just left and frowned. Her surname is also Fong, what a coincidence. Suddenly, Tianya seemed to have thought of something. He turned his head and looked at Louis furiously. Louis, who allowed you to let him out in public? Louis lowered his head. He knew that he had disobeyed the general, but he did it to protect Maiden Lieni, and he did not regret it. General, I know I was wrong. Tianya was so angry that he wanted to knock this bastard to death. Where is that bastard Fuli? Louis tried to explain something, but his mind suddenly went blank. General's words just now, did General know that woman? Grandfather Tianya. Hellion, you sneered. Feng Lieni framed Shao Qing, and your man has blindly attacked Shao Qing. Do you still want to keep such a person in General Manor? Shao Qing. Tianya was somewhat confused. Maiden Feng whom Brother Lianqing was talking about just now. Her name is Feng Ruqing. Feng Ruqing. These three words, like thunder, exploded in Tianya's mind. His old memories instantly invaded and spread all over his mind. Tianwu, this time, I will not be able to wait until you and Yenner get married. I have to leave. If you have a girl in the future, name her Ruqing, which means beautiful. I hope she will become a lovely girl and will be loved by everyone in this world. General, seeing that Hellion Yu was trying to say something, Feng Lieni immediately wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and said, Actually, I saw the little prince bullying the people outside the palace. I advised him not to, but he attacked me. Then, the emperor had accidentally hit Princess Qiner when he tried to stop the little prince, but Feng Ruqing blamed me for this. She also threatened the man who was bullied by the little prince. She forced him to admit that I was the one who ordered him to harm the little prince. I have endured so much pain over the years, bullied by the little prince. Have I ever fought him back? Do you think I would do such a thing? Her eyes reddened. I'd always admit my mistakes when I've done something wrong. But now I didn't do anything wrong this time, so I'll never admit it. Her eyes were full of determination, with a tenacity that she would rather die than give up. Hellion Yu stared hard at Feng Lieni and sneered. Manipulating others. Only Feng Lieni can do it. Feng Lieni. The Empress' gaze was cold, and her voice was stern. Feng Lieni gritted her teeth. Empress, I know that you are concerned about the little prince and want to put all the blame on me, but I did not do that, indeed. The Empress' words were the most unreliable here. The little prince was her son, and she had always been protective and spoiled him, so she would definitely side him now. Of course, if it had been before, those young ladies and young masters of Wushang City would have believed Feng Lieni, but now, after what had happened in the banquet hall, they all remained silent. They looked at her sardonically. Lu Yi looked at Feng Lieni with genuine sympathy. He had never thought that Feng Ruqing would hurt Feng Lieni for the little prince's sake. Everyone knew the little prince was very vicious. So, Lu Yi believed that Lieni was innocent. General, Maiden Lieni is right. Lu Yi raised his head and said, I also know what had happened the other day. The little prince did hurt someone. Maiden Lieni only followed what General had taught her. She loves people with all her heart. But Feng Ruqing has done so many bad things to Maiden Lieni. So even if General will blame me this time, I will never regret what I've done me for extra chapters. The others were no longer on Feng Liani's side. Only Lu Yi was still backing her up. Feng Liani looked at him gratefully. She would always remember his favor and would never mistreat him in the future. Moreover, General, your jade necklace was stolen by the little prince, and he gave it to that woman. What's funny is, She said that she traded a jug of wine with an old man for it. If that old man really had such a spirit-gathering stone, would he be foolish enough to trade it just for a jug of wine? The foolish old man who traded his spirit-gathering stone for a jug of wine. After he heard the name Feng-Ruching, the general's mind went blank. Only the young girl's pale face appeared on his mind. And it made his heart tremble. However, when he heard Feng Lianya's words, the old man slowly came out of his shock and smirked. He walked toward Feng Lianya, his aura like a giant mountain, making everyone in the banquet hall fall silent. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.